Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unboxed. So glad that you're here to join us today. So, how to identify the leaders on your team or the leader on your team? Uh, Let me start off by saying that success is often measured, or rather, is often the measure of a great leader. You know, the bottom line is the bottom line, and that's how I am judged. That's how I used to judge myself, and that's how I used to judge others. Basically, whoever could get it done, that's the one who must be the leader. But leaders are not just individuals who can get things done. Leaders look for the people on their team who get things done. In other words, success. But getting things done is not the only way to look for leaders. What if I told you that success is not the most important quality to look for when you're trying to identify the leader on your team? Today, we're going to unbox the real way to judge who's the leader on your team. Stick around for us to do that. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach, and welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life. All right. Welcome back. So glad to have you here today. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share, and hit the notification button either on Facebook or on YouTube so that you can know when we're coming on live. And if you're listening to this in our podcast, please check out our website. It's www.swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org. Okay, let me get to the heart of the issue. True leadership is not revealed in the level of output, clients acquired, or money that's raised. True leadership is determined by how a person handles him or herself during times of high anxiety and adversity. I'm telling you right now, when things get rough, that's when leaders show up. When things are difficult, that's when leaders are revealed. I think about who is considered the greatest president in U.S. history, who I personally believe is the greatest president in U.S. history because whatever you think about it, whatever you think his philosophies were on slavery or anything else, he saved the Union. And it was during the time of highest anxiety, the highest conflict, when the nation was split down the middle, that Abraham Lincoln stepped forth and saved the Union. It was when the Union was getting their clock cleaned that Abraham Lincoln stepped forth with the Emancipation Proclamation, the Gettysburg Address, and united and led the nation into success and reunited the Union. And so it's during these times, because you don't really know who's the real leader until adversity steps up. But there are some identifiers. There are some identifiers that you and I can use to help us to know who is going to be that leader during the time of crises. You want to know who the leader is when crises arise. That's what you want to know. You want to know who is going to be that leader, especially when crises arise. Success is important, but a successful sabotaging team member undercuts all the good that they've ever done. What we need is calm, non-anxious leadership, especially in today's overly stressed world. That is what is desperately needed. So let me share with you some things. Edwin H. Friedman, in his book, you want to check this book out, it's called A Failure of Nerve. Edwin Friedman wrote a book called A Failure of Nerve, Leadership, A Failure of Nerve, Leadership in an Age of Quick Fix. I apologize to the Friedman family. That's right, Edwin Friedman, A Failure of Nerve, Leadership in the Age of Quick Fix. And he identifies two characteristics we should look for in our team members to determine if they are in fact strong leaders. And again, you can see these characteristics even when there is no adversity, even when there is no rise in stress and sabotage and all those other things. And here's the first thing. The person who could express him or herself with the least amount of blaming. I want you to catch that now. As you're interacting with your team members, you want to identify the person that is able to express him or herself with the least amount of blaming. I have a fail-proof method for identifying troublesome leaders in the church. In every church that I use this to identify, I never got it wrong. When I would go to a church, whoever was the first person that came to me and wanted to tell me, or the first persons that came to me and wanted to tell me what was wrong with the church, who was wrong at the church, what was going bad at the church, I knew off the break that was going to be the person that when things got rough, they were going to ultimately stir up even more trouble. I'll never forget when I went to Baton Rouge to pastor, I had an elder by the name of Robert Landry, one of the best first elders. I can also name to you an elder that I had when I went to Forest Hill in a suburb of Fort Worth. His name was Maurice Turner. And these gentlemen, when I walked in, the first thing they wanted to talk about was what the potential of the church was, who the strong leaders and strong leadership were, and how we could move forward. And I use their names because I wouldn't want to, of course, name anyone who was the opposite. But even in every church I've been to, there's always that one person that's going to tell you about how bad the church is and who's got it mixed up and who's messed up. And they're usually, and it's without fail, the ones who cause the most trouble in the long run. So what you want to look for are the people who have a certain amount of optimism, the person who can say, hey, listen, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is what I believe, without having to blame other people, without dragging other people down. That's something that a leader's ear needs to be open for. And it's not to say that you're trying to fire and get rid of people if they don't possess that quality, because you can help them to develop it by your leadership. But it's something that you want to look for. Remember now, how to identify the leader on your team. The second thing that Friedman talks about is the person who had the greatest, he said, look for the person who has the greatest capacity to take responsibility for his or her own emotional functioning, being, and destiny. What you're looking for is someone who has the capacity to do self-reflection and introspection. That's right. You're looking for someone who's able to say, you know what? I am going to take responsibility for the way that I show up. And rather than thinking about how you as the leader is messing up or how the other team members are messing up and looking for who they can blame, instead, they take responsibility for how they show up. If they're wrong, they're quick to apologize and to try to correct the error. If something is out of sorts, rather than finding the first person to point to, you're looking for the one who says, okay, what is my responsibility to try to make this thing right? Now, I don't mean that they're going around trying to fix everything, but you can see and you can hear in their conversation and speech, and you can just see in the way that they approach a problem that they're thinking about solving problems. They're thinking about how they personally have to take ownership and where their ownership lies. There's a particular leader that I'm coaching right now, and I wouldn't mention their name because they haven't given me permission to do so, but I am so amazed at just their ability to do introspection. And this individual is a very high level, high functioning leader who is well respected in their field. And I'm very amazed, but the rule is so true. Whenever we're having conversations about anything relative to the team, the conversation inevitably, without me even directing it, inevitably goes back to how they can perform and lead and raise the bar. And when you see that in your team, my friends, you are looking at a true leader. The reason that these qualities are so important is because when anxiety arises, when anxiety increases, and it will, and when the interpersonal relationships become strained, and they will become strained, you need someone who is calm, someone who is realistic, and someone who is focused on being their best self. All right, let me wrap this thing on up. When you are looking for an unboxed leader on your team, you do want someone who is productive and creative. So I hope that I didn't say anything that would lead you to believe that you're not looking for someone who's productive and someone who is creative. But just as, if not more importantly, you should look for leaders who can express themselves with the least amount of blaming. You should look for leaders who have the greatest capacity to take responsibility for their emotional functioning, their emotional being, and their emotional destiny. And that is how you unbox the power and the potential, not only of your leadership, but the leadership of your team. And that is how you unbox the power and the potential of every relationship. I'll see you next time.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.